Steve Gamache here with another episode of Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product reviews, and Mark sent over some very special knives in this shipment, and this is one of them. This is the Konosuke Aogami No. 2 Honyaki Gyuto 210mm knife. And so this is the steel on this knife is Aogami, our blue paper No. 2 reactive carbon steel from Hitachi. The heat treat's approximately 62 Rockwell. What makes this blade very special, you can read more about it. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but this is a mono steel blade made in traditional Honyaki style, which is the same style they make katana swords. So it is what's known as differentially hardened, where they have techniques whereby they harden the steel to a higher level at the edge and then make it a little bit softer on the spine for resiliency and strength. And you can look up more, but it takes a lot of skill to do these. There's a failure rate when they go to quench them. They could break. So they're very, very expensive because they're very difficult to make, and they do have failures on them. So Mark sent this one without a handle, so he might be handling this within and selling it on Chef Knives to Go, or could possibly offer this as a no-handle option where you could get a custom handle done by one of the makers that you can find on the Chef Knives to Go forums or wherever you prefer to go to get your handles made. Without further ado, the weight on this is, of course, without a handle. So it's a little over 5 ounces, 146 grams. The edge length is about 215, which is kind of cool because some of their 210s are more in the 203 range. So this gives you a little bit of an oversized 210. And it's also got some decent height to it. It's about 47 millimeters at the back of the heel to the spine, and then the thickness is about 3.1 millimeters coming out of the the back of where it comes out of the handle, and then it pretty much just kind of thins down kind of gradually into a distal taper down towards the tip. It's not super duper duper skinny at the tip. It is pretty darn skinny at the, we'll get a closer look at it at the edge, but not like super skinny. It's a pretty stout, stiff blade. Really, this would be really confidence inspiring through food, I would imagine. I have not used this, nor will I. Let's take a close-up look at it. These are really something special. This, you can just tell there's so much care and attention to this blade. I don't know if I can really show it. There's not much of an edge on this, but this is the kind of blade you put your own edge on. This has a great Honyaki line to it. I think you can kind of see it here. It's really hard to show. Different lighting makes it show a little better. Honestly, these are tungsten lights I have here, so daylight lighting like off a window will show it more. At least I think that's the way I kind of caught it. But this has a really, I would call it a pretty pronounced Honyaki line to it, the wavy line where the hardening, differential hardening takes place. And again, it's a little hard to tell on the video. It's really hard to show that. I don't know if you can kind of catch that. Right in there is your Honyaki. It's just really nicely done on both sides. It's quite pronounced. Part of that is how they polish the blade. We can kind of catch that as best I can for you. But it's on both sides of the blade. So it's got their kind of usual embossed kanji identifier on both sides of the blade. Great polishing on and rounding on the spine, and also the choil into the neck or the emoto. You've got the rat tail tang on this, and not much to say about this other than it's beautifully made. Again, it's stiff, so it's going to be a fairly kind of a stout blade. I would imagine this will be a very good performer. It's not meant to be a true laser or anything like that, but this is a special tool here. It's a special product. So not much else, and these are hard to come by. They don't produce many of them a year, and they go pretty quick. If you do buy this and get your own handle on it, I would encourage you from a traditional perspective to let a little bit of that machi showing right there, maybe a millimeter or two, where you come off the blade here into the rat tail tang, and that's a sign of traditional handle install. So that would be cool if you were to do that, not just run it right up onto there and not have a gap there. So again, I encourage you to put a little gap there, a traditional handle install, if you're so inclined. It would be fitting of the traditional style of this knife. So let's look at the profile on a cutting board. So here's what it looks like on a cutting board. It's not a real flat profile, so it's just a gentle curve, real butter smooth as far as the curve goes, and just a little bit of back belly back here. So not a lot of flat, fair amount of upsweep belly towards the very tip. So again, there's no edge on this, but you can get pretty high on this before you start hitting the tip, and part of that's going to depend on how you sharpen it. So again, there's not much of an out-of-box edge. You just threw a real quick kind of slight edge on there, but it's up to you to really put a good edge on it to your liking. So really smooth profile. Not particularly flat, but depends on what your particular style is of cutting. But just a gorgeous, gorgeous blade. Quite the accomplishment from a blacksmithing perspective. Kind of almost like a piece of history, katana sword style. So there you have, I'll change our focus here, the Konosuke Aogami No. 2 Honyaki Gyuto 210mm knife.